All right, so I got a serious problem with Christians competing with other Christians, right? So we're supposed to be like Christians are supposed to be like loving people. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not supposed to be like how we was when we was in the streets. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of Christians are still they a lot of Christians are still broken, still hurt, still all about self-love, and that's fine. That's fine. I get it. I understand that we're not perfect. We all have problems, and a lot of people don't know what's wrong with self-love. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with self-love, because I'm I'm one of those people now. I'm focusing more on self-love. But when I was reading my Bible really, really heavy, back in like 2003, when I first 2008, when I first started reading my Bible, like really, really, really heavy. And I was always focused on like how the Bible talks about. I haven't seen self-love in the Bible. If it's in there, forgive me, because I haven't seen it in there. But, and I know somebody's going to have something to say about it, because people always want to speak and defend their perspective instead of listen to what somebody is saying, right? So I'm not against self-love, but the way that the Bible teaches us, it talks about denying yourself. That's what you see all through the Bible. When Jesus was here, that's what he was talking about. He was talking about denying self. But that's not what we do in the Christianity. We don't do that. We do self-love. We do competition. It's like, and I think I don't think we necessarily try to compete. A lot of us probably just try to be the best that we can be. And that's fine. That's why I say there's nothing wrong with that. But in the Christian community, it should be like a brotherly love, like a help. We should be helping one another, build for Christ and progress and grow to the top. And, but it's not like that. It's more of any time that we see ourselves as helping somebody, it's always correcting, or you ain't supposed to be doing that. You ain't like, it's like cracking the whip. You know what I'm saying? Like going up somebody's head with the belt or something, like slapping them with the Bible or something. It's like, wow. Like, and I get it, because we're not supposed to be these turn the cheek Christians all the time. You turn the cheek to a certain extent, but then it gets to a certain point where there was times in the Bible when God even told his people to go to war, stand up for what was just and right. So sometimes as Christians, we get so focused on one or two scriptures and we fail to see the whole big story. You know what I'm saying? The big picture. And, I think that that's really like bad. That's not a good thing, to be in competition with other Christians. Like, I've got to where I'm at in life, not based off of other Christians. I've got there because of me. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I've tried to help other Christians. I've tried to like fellowship, collab with other Christians. Like, I've tried to do so much. And like when you're fellowshipping, it's always okay when somebody wants to give their insight or their opinion or what they in their interpretation of the scripture, but I have a brain too, just like you. You know what I'm saying? And you look at all these pastors, right? And all these pastors say that they are ordained by God, right? But then a lot of them end up with different stories. And it's like, that makes somebody like me, somebody that's really reads their Bible like a noble Berean, that will make you step back and say, hold on. All these pastors are ordained by God, but each story is different. Somebody has the wrong interpretation, right? And so that's the type of stuff right there. I'm not going to hell for a pastor. I'm not going to hell for my mama, for my daddy, for my sister, for my, like, I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't care who it is. Like, and I'm single, so I'm at the point in my life where, like, I'm not bowing down to no woman, right? Like, nobody out here is my wife. And if it is somebody that's my wife, then that ain't none of y'all business. But healed. A lot of women say that, men are not healed. I hear it a lot. He's not healed. It's okay for women to point out what men are doing wrong, right? But the moment we point out what a woman is doing wrong, or point out something in the Bible that goes against them, then it's a crime, or it's a hate crime, or it's oh, you're a woman hater or something like that. And it's like, wow, but y'all say these same exact things about us men, right? I didn't agree with everything that Kevin Samuels said, but Kevin Samuels had a lot of things that he was saying that was true. But us men can't speak out about it because, women don't want to hear the truth. And I'm not saying that there's men that don't want to hear the truth. I'm not saying that. I need help. You know what I'm saying? I'm not perfect. But if my woman tells me that I need to work on something, I need to work on something. Because if I don't work on that, she's probably going to leave. That's just how a lot of women are these days. Not all women, but it's a lot of women out there that they will cut you off for just the slightest thing. Boy, you stepped on my pinky toe. And I mean, they'll swear you did it on purpose. And before you know it, she breaking up with you. So, or you didn't take out the trash last week. You left her. It could be anything. So, and I want to say that if you really pay attention to the way that women talk and the way that they carry, not all of them, but a lot of them, the way that they talk about men, they have not healed. It's women in their 50s have not healed. Women in their, whatever age. It's a lot of women out here that have not healed. They say they over the last man from the last relationship or the last 3 relationships, but they have not healed. They just adapted. It's a difference. See, they think that adapting is healing. And see, healing, you can tell the difference in healing and adapting, because even Stefan Speaks talked about a very similar thing of this. He talked about how anytime you're walking into a relationship with your guard up, you haven't healed. A lot of women are like that. Right? And I'm not saying that it's anything wrong with that, because that's a defense mechanism. But just think about your very first relationships. You didn't have that guard up. You didn't have that wall up. You just went in and it was like rolling the dice. But over time, we mature and learn and adapt from things that happened to us in the past. So now when this guy comes, or when this lady comes, right, we now look at them through a filter, through a lens, through a defense mechanism by default. That's just what it is. And so we're still not fully healed. We've just matured, adapted, and learned from our mistakes. So, value. Another thing about value that I wanted to say was a lot of women that I see and talk to, whether they talk to me on my social media or whatever it is, they say that I devalue women. But I'm only giving the same energy that's given to me, which that's not really biblical. But a lot of people don't do things the biblical way. That's why I just talked about Christians competing in value and self-love. Self-love, that's not biblical as far as I know. Bible says deny self. People want to point the finger at me when I don't do something in the Bible, but they do things all the time in the Bible that doesn't line up with the Bible. So value, it's a lot of women, and it's not disrespect to anybody, I'm just giving an example. Value, women will put fake hair in their head, and that gives them value. A lot of them cannot feel like they are valuable without their fake hair. A lot of guys cannot feel like they are valuable without Michael Jordan shoes on. A lot of people in the world do not feel like they are valuable without designer clothes on. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people don't feel like they're valuable without a vehicle or expensive vehicle. And so, or even a certain type of job, or even a degree. You know, so there's nothing wrong with these things, but when we place our identity in these things, when we cannot feel accepted without these things, then it is an issue. So I just don't understand why we as Christians are competing with each other like the world competes. I tell you time and time and time again, for decades, that I've given out free advice and always tried to help people as I was learning myself. And the Christians just seem to be so stuck up. But that's okay. And I'm not saying it's okay because it's the right thing. I'm saying it's okay because I've adapted. I've adapted. I haven't healed, but I've adapted to the crap that y'all be doing. I've learned who y'all really are. It's like needle in the haystack out here. A lot of Christians, a lot of people in the world are hay. And when you find that needle in the haystack, that diamond gold needle in the haystack, you better hold on to them, because they were sent by God. It's a lot of people out here in the world, man, that are still holding on to these worldly ways. Christians. But they are quick to hop on a video or get on a song and talk about how horrible the world is. And I just think that that's just crazy. Just like a modern day Pharisee, Sadducee, whatever you want to call them. Y'all fit one of the categories. I hate to say it. I say most of them fit Pharisee categories. People in the streets probably fit more of a Sadducee category. But you know, it just bothers me that, like, even when I was learning music, even when I was learning filming, y'all don't know how much I go through to learn what I learn. But I don't come online every day and be like, hey, I learned this today. I'm gonna start doing that. And then when I try to give somebody value, free value that I paid thousands of dollars for, that I've taken, months and years to research this stuff, and I give somebody some information, some game for free. I could give you $1,000 worth of game just by telling you something that you probably would have had to study, for years and years how to figure out, just like I did. But I try to give that game for free. And people still treat me like trash.